So, and I'm just going to take a couple minutes because I have a one-on-one coming up. But so, Mike, have you ever heard the word content?
Yeah.
I would equate the word content with peace. That when we are at peace, we are content with the world. We're content with the present moment. We're moving with it. Can I be content with the present moment even though it's not meeting my expectation? Donna, can I meet the present moment with content? Not contempt. That's a different word. Just
Yes, because there's always contentment there.
can I be content and just be happy?
Of course.
Yes. Now, can I be content and angry as a motherfucker?
Well, you've lost your attention on contentment if
You're no longer content. Yeah, you've gone too far into the extreme, so you're no longer content. So,
and you
Mike,
can be ecstatic with your bank account and lose sight of contentment as well.
Oh yes, yeah, for sure. Now, the thing that the world does erroneously, and this is answering your question, Mike, so just stick with me. But in the world today, and we could use the term common mind. That's just a statistical statement. It's not a judgment. It's not negative. It's just, it is what it is. Eventually, what is common will be the evolution of consciousness and alignment. But as it is, the common mind is comparing, contrasting, thinking, attempting to control, trying to figure it out, all of those things. So the world views contentment as not progressing or not advancing. So, you know, the CEO of the Fortune 500 company will say, never be content. You have to constantly be striving. Have you ever heard that, Mike? Or Donna or Jerry or anybody? Have you ever heard that?
Sure. Striving is like trying. It's not, there's nothing there.
Yes.
It's a resistance.
It is a form of resistance. Yes. And by resistance, I mean you're actively resisting the present moment. And it may feel good at first, but eventually it won't because it's existing in an extreme. But the moment that I'm resisting the present moment, I am in an act of resistance. So, Mike, I right now am creating a library. The reason I'm creating that library is because I have a vision of selling my books and art and my movement and stuff in trade shows and different shows in the sun. Now, my vision is okay, right? Like that's my desire, but we can just agree that that's okay, right? It's okay to have that vision. You don't have to agree, but it's okay. But do we agree? That is okay, right? So that's my vision. It easily could be though a major company. So I do have, how about this? I would like to create a successful online business. And by successful, I mean it's not losing money. it can continue because it's not losing money. It can sustain itself. That's an important point of any business. Is it sustainable? Yes or no. If it's no, you're going out of business. If it's yes, then you can maintain your business. So that's what I mean by successful, a sustainable online business. Can I do that, Mike, and still be content?
Can you?
Yes, because content has to do with where my mind is now. Because when I use the word content, I mean actualized. I mean the point of actualization. Right now, I am creating content. I am building content. And are people going to like it? I don't know. Is it going to make me money? I don't know. Is it going to be something that other people enjoy and like? I hope so, but I don't know. But yet I'm content and I'm still doing. My output is consistent. I'm not trying to control. I focus on tasks and I do them. There's a lot of just do energy. And you can watch me over the course of between now and January 1st, 2022. I am going to create a lot. And I don't know exactly what it's going to yield because that's called fortune telling. And I think it's possible that a person could see where things are going to a certain extent, and I could find great value in that, but I don't do that. That's not my lane. So just because that's not my lane doesn't mean it doesn't have value, though, is what I'm saying. So the idea here, Mike, is that I am creating, I am doing what I want to do. You could use it as an online business, or you can use it as a brick and mortar business, or you can use it as success in your relationship. And by success, I mean continuation, sustainability. You know, is the relationship ending or is it continuing? Continuing, success. Ending, not success. So we're defining our terms here. That's an important part of arithmetic or mathematics is to define your terms. So there we go. We're defining our terms. So Mike, you can create the giant, most successful financial, family, personal situation that you have ever wanted. And you can do that while being content, because content is alignment. It is peace. It is moving with everything rather than against it, rather than trying to control. So when I sit down to create a project, I don't think, is this going to be successful? Is this going to be win, or is this going to be loss? I just create. I create with contentment. I create, and I'm always creating, and it's always moving somewhere. So I will still get to the desired goal. I'm just not getting there by wasting energy. And that's what a lot of people do in the world today. They do get to where they want to go. They create, but they're creating with frustration. They're creating with resisting the present moment and trying to control, and they might. They may create that creation, but it's not going to be a balanced creation, and that imbalance can cause suffering. So Mike, if you want to create everything that you have ever wanted to create, but you want to do it with balance and quality, you can do it with a sense of peace and contentment. And the way that you do that is by paying attention to the present moment and aligning with it. The way that you align with it is to not cognitively think in resistant patterns against it, to move with it rather than against it. So that means something happens that doesn't necessarily align with your highest desire. Space junk fell from the sky. You don't have to think about that. You don't have to think, poor me. You don't have to respond to that in negativity. You can just be content. You can be present, mindful, adapt, learn. Maybe there is some anger, but then you quickly go back to your practice. That's okay too. So the biggest difference, Mike, and then of course I'll give you a moment to respond here, and if this makes sense, but you can do everything that you're already doing. You can have all the goals that you already have, but if you do them differently, with the act of allowing, with rather than against, then you can still get to the same point, but it will be the path with the least resistance. Does that make sense, Mike? Creating with contentment.
Yes.
And the only way we can do that, though, is with the practice. So the moment we start to worry, the moment we start to think, oh, and this, I feel a pull towards that sometimes. Oh, Ernest, you're not going to make enough income, or people aren't going to like what you write, or people don't want to change their behavior. They don't want to do a practice. Ernest, just go love your life and leave it all alone. Well, I don't let those thoughts creep in, Mike. Sometimes I feel like I'm on the verge of thinking that thought, but then I redirect back to my practice, back to contentment, and just do energy. Just do energy. You can create fucking anything. Anything. It's called flow, perpetual flow. We can create anything. Anything that you can think of can be done with just do energy, personal power. When you have enough of it, when you stored it, when you've cultivated it, you just release it. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to complain about it. And everything's not going to go according to your plan, but you're ready to adapt, and you just adapt. Does that make sense? So go create, but with peace. Because with peace, there can be everything else: creativity, joy, compassion, empathy, kindness, connection. Ultimately, love is the derivative feeling from this connection that we can make with anything. So yes, Jerry.
I was just going to say, I think Michael took a business call.
I think he did.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's doing it with contentment and peace.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. It's maintaining that contentment that's important.
And how do we maintain it? I would say we maintain it by setting up our daily practice, by remembering to choose the third pillar, by just going back to our trinks of attention and the act of allowing. That's how we maintain it though, Michael. Maintaining it means doing it, maintaining the practice.
I also heard when you talk about redirection.
Mhm.
Important piece of
It is. And if redirecting to positive thinking helps, okay. If redirecting to, magical feeling quotes is helpful, okay. That's not necessarily what I mean though. What I mean is redirecting back to the present moment using your voice. Think to yourself in a way that will point back to the present moment and your three pillars. Does that make sense, Mike? That's
Yeah.
redirection.
Yeah, then you have, that's like word pointers, different than just being able to do that, and then you have that in an instant when you can do it right within your own mind.
And the only reason I can give you the three pillars today is because I talked it to myself. I used my voice of power to say, Ernest, you can be present. There's a cup, there's a bracelet, there's a pen. You are present. And when we take this breath, when we relax that thinking, we are mindful. You are mindful right now. The space between your breath is mindful. The space between your words is mindful. And you can point your attention and notice that's the third pillar. You can point your attention anywhere you want to. In this moment, I am going to pay attention to my body. Do you see, I'm talking my three pillars to myself. That is a potent thing to do, Mike. I recommend it. I call it the voice of power. That's actually helping to create your voice of power, to help to, what's a good word? And I use the word, I don't know if condition is the right word, because you're not conditioning it. You're really activating it. You're finding your voice of power.
Utilizing it, yeah.
Utilizing your voice of power. But it's kind of like the voice of power has two different things. One, you're telling yourself true things. And then the other one, the true things are just being said. It's like you're about to enter a situation and then the words just come to you. Mike, hey man, you don't need to do this meeting this way. Redirect or something like that. You know what I mean? So in one, we're using words as a part of our practice to our benefit. And in the other one, we're actually connecting with infinite intelligence and its inner guru and its intuition telling us about the present moment.
Yeah.
So the voice of power has a different complexion when it's coming from space. The voice of power is pointing you towards wisdom because it's pointing you towards taking what you know to expressing what you know in the point of actualization. So wisdom is an action, it's an expression. If I know that drinking 3 cups of coffee will make me nervous, but I drink 4, then I didn't act on my knowledge, and so there was no wisdom. The voice of power will help point you towards wisdom because it's telling you about the present moment. Does that make sense, Donna? So it won't tell you wise words necessarily, but it will remind you where wisdom exists, and that's in the moment happening now, because wisdom is an expression, not words.
Yes, and I find that in my life, the place where I am most practiced at being present moment is when I'm in the role of a nurse, when I allow that to be. So when people come to me often in struggle, and they always have it. I don't know, it's just a thing. And I feel that I get outside of my ego and my mind quiets and the words come, and they are always wiser than my own words if I were to operate from what I perceive as my own acquired wisdom. My voice of power is wiser than me. So when I am really engaged fully, the words come, and I can see it in the other person, how it washes over them. They get in a daze of something resonating, their shoulders come down from their ears, and there are no magic words. They're different and there's a moment of connection where flow is happening, and it happens often, and I haven't done anything particularly, but that everything you describe as our practice. And that's why Liz finding you on Facebook resonated with me, because I know the feeling of that. I know what he's talking about, and I couldn't really make words for it or put context to it, but I know that it's happened to me, and it's happened to me multiple times. And now in hindsight, and with practice, I can see when it happens and the principles at play of why it happens, because I'm in flow at that moment. So that's what I just meant by the voice. My voice of power has wisdom. It's wise. Yeah.
Yep, I think that's I could view that as a kind of a poetic way of looking at it. And I love poetry, so I'm down with that. And yet I still think that's also another good example of when we were talking about the difference between actualization and abstract. Is wise, if you're not demonstrating it right now, it's not really wisdom. It's
exactly. If I try to be wise, it's clunky. If I try to be poetic, it's it's elementary and ridiculous, actually. But when I stop trying is when the art of conversation or the art of whatever comes.
Yeah. So wisdom, again, in the way that I use the word, but this is a perfect example. When I use the word, I mean an expression, and that involves the point of actualization. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
All right, well, I have a one-on-one coming up pretty soon. Otherwise, I will see you guys again on tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday. Everything is still progressing, so you're going to see more and more. I'm releasing more and more, and things are becoming more and more clear about what I'll be doing over the next 6 months or so, 7 months, and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But it kind of gives you an idea of where we're going and what we're doing and how we're doing it. So yeah, I will see you guys again tomorrow we have a 7 a.m. class. I believe that is just the open study. So it's a great opportunity for us 7 a.m. is creating a daily practice. Yeah. So tomorrow we'll talk more about creating the daily practice. And I think that's a great way to start the week.
Thanks,
All
Ernest.
right. Yep, you're welcome, man. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. And so tomorrow I will have another organized presentation reasonably for you, and we'll talk more. All right, see you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep, you're welcome. Bye, everyone.